Hey community, this is Dr. Hugh coming at you, and today what we're going to be talking about is tendon pain, and specifically your Achilles tendon. So if you've been out there damaged, you have inflammation in your joints, you have inflammation in your tendon, you have problems with the Achilles tendon, this is the webinar you're going to want to watch. I'm going to go through lots and lots of content. So before I go over that, I want to just go over, where's the Achilles tendon and go over some anatomy so you can kind of have a full understanding, a 3D picture of what is actually happening when it comes to your leg. Okay, so this is a cool little program that I got here. So what we're looking at here, this is the foot. Let me do 3D here. I can blow it up a little bit. So what you're looking at right here is this is the bottom of your foot right in there. And then this is the calcaneus, the bone right in there. And then what we have is we have the Achilles tendon sitting right here. Okay, so what I want to really show you is the anatomy of the Achilles tendon and how this actually really works. Because at the end of the day, what happens is the Achilles tendon is the thickest, strongest tendon in your entire body. Now, when it comes to tendons, tendons do not have a direct blood flow. Like if you move your muscle, the muscle has direct blood flow. The tendons don't work that way. The tendons work through osmosis, or like a pumping action. Or another analogy would be like if you have a sponge and you put a sponge in water and it absorbs the water. This is how the tendons work. This is why if someone, like a football player, if they tear their ACL, their tendon in their knee, they're going to be out for 12 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, because we're talking about tendons that have very, very poor blood flow and circulation around the tendon. So really what I want to do right here is just kind of give you a 3D basically a 3D picture of the tendon. You can see here, this is the bone where the tendon attaches to right here. This thing is the Achilles tendon. Now, one of the things is you notice about the anatomy of the tendon is you look at some of these other tendons of your foot right in here, like these different tendons in your foot right here. One of the things that you're going to notice about your Achilles tendon is like it doesn't have a lot of bone structure. Like the Achilles tendon is just kind of like hanging out there. It's not really supported by these other boniest structures. So for example, if we turn the picture, you can see how these tendons have really good support when it comes to the bones right in there. But when you look at the Achilles tendon, that's really not the case that's happening with the Achilles tendon. It's just kind of sitting out there on its own. So I think this is going to contribute, or this causes the Achilles tendon to be what I would call the weak link in the body. Now you can also see the blood flow that's coming in here. You see how the blood flow comes directly into the muscles right there. Let me add some muscles to this here really quick. Okay, what I want to show you is just the tendons and how we can overlay different tendons on the foot here. So this program allows me to add things. So let's just add some tendons right in here. So you can see what's starting to happen in here. We're getting more tendons. Now, look at the Achilles tendon as we add more tendons there. More tendons up in here. Nice more. See, look how solid that foot is. Look at how many tendons are around that whole entire foot, where the Achilles tendon is just pretty much like hanging out right there. Here we have another nice big tendon right there. Another nice big tendon. More tendons on the bottom right here of the foot. So you can really see how the whole foot structure and most of your body has really great tendons, but the Achilles tendon here is kind of like the Lone Ranger. It's very weak. There can be problems. So the next thing I want to do is kind of go over what are all the different things that could be causing your body to have weak tendons. So right here, this comes from PubMed. This is basically saying the anatomy of the Achilles tendon. At the end of the day, the Achilles tendon is the strongest and largest tendon in your entire body. So you have to realize, like, if you get damaged, you're dealing with some tissue, the largest tendon in your entire body that has the least amount of blood flow going to it. So if you have any pre-existing conditions or pre-existing poor physiology in your body, your tendons can be the area that's going to get hit the hardest. Now, when I work with clients, there's a lot of things that we can do. So this would be a general screen that you want to check. Do you have low blood pressure, right? Lots and lots of people have low blood pressure, non-optimal blood pressure, and you need good blood pressure. Why do you need good blood pressure? Because the blood pressure is what pushes the nutrients back into the tendons. This is what gets deep into the tendons. Now, if you look at this Achilles tendon right here, is if it doesn't have direct blood flow, so the nerves would be kind of like floating around here. The nerves are kind of like floating around here. They kind of float and give general nutrients to the area. But if you have poor blood pressure or low blood pressure, what that means is these arteries right in here that surround the Achilles tendon, they're not going to be able to push enough oxygen, enough nutrients to the tendon, and the tendon will be damaged. Okay, another thing that you can do compression socks for the lower legs, Epsom salt baths. You got to have blood work. You got to have blood work. You got to look at all your inflammatory markers. Okay, so for inflammation, if you go to my website and you just go to the site, search the site here, and you put inflammation, all my blogs, everything I have on inflammation is going to be here. I've put lots and lots of time into very specifically having keywords on my website. So you can just scroll down this here and look at all the things that have to do with inflammation. So I got lots of stuff on things on inflammation. So if you are inflamed or if you have problems, you got to decrease your inflammation. So you can just comb through here and see like what really pops out me, what really interests me to decrease the inflammation in your body. So I got a lot of content on that. Okay, if you come in here and do a search and you just hit tendon, look at all the things that come up with tendon. You see this right here? Tendon, tendon, tendon. So you can go in here and you can actually search like, what could be happening with you? Maybe you don't have enough hydrochloric acid, and that is causing you to have poor tendons because you need hydrochloric acid to break down proteins, and with not enough hydrochloric acid, you can have weak tendons. So I have a whole article just specifically on that little avenue right there when it comes to the tendon pain. Autoimmune paleo diet. What's your vitamin D level? What's your homocysteine level? This is an inflammatory marker here. If you come in here, just grab homocysteine. Let's do a search on homocysteine here. Go up to search, paste. So all these things here have to do with homocysteine. Homocysteine is a marker of inflammation that will cause your bad tendons. You can also do some DMSO with hyaluronic acid. That's a product on the market. Just Google that. DMSO with magnesium. You just rub that right on the tendon. And the DMSO is a solvent. And whatever's in the DMSO, it penetrates right into the Achilles tendon. Do you have mold? I mean, I have lots of things on mold. Let's just put mold in here. So mold can cause inflammation and can cause a weak tendon. So I have a bunch of different stuff on mold. Yeah, lots of stuff here, right? So I got a lot of content out there to try and solve some of your problems. What's your sugar levels? Do you have high sugars, low sugars? You can soak your feet in Epsom salts or hot water, because what do we do when we have hot water? When you have hot water, guess what that does? That will cause more blood flow to that area and increasing the healing in your Achilles tendon. Vitamin E. Vitamin E is a natural antioxidant for a fat-soluble. It's basically it's a natural antioxidant that goes around specifically, and it helps fat tissues. Tendons are fat tissues. Taurine. This is a huge thing, which is a protein. Taurine is cheap. You can put taurine, and you can drink taurine and vitamin C, NAC. What's your temperature difference in your feet? You can buy... Okay, this tool is very critical. It's $16. Okay, so for $16, what do you do with this tool? This is actually an infrared, basically... thermometer. Basically, it's measuring your skin. So what do? You take this gun and you measure the bottom of the foot. You measure your knee. You measure your hip. So if you have any kind of temperature difference from your knee to your bottom of your foot, or your knee to your Achilles tendon, let's say your knee is at 90 degrees and your Achilles tendon is at 80 degrees, that's a significant problem. That tells you that there's a heat difference. There's a circulation problem. There's a blood flow problem not getting to this tissue. So for $16, and I'll tell you, a lot of my clients, they buy this thing and they find heat differences. So then the strategy is, well, what are we going to do to increase your blood flow? What are we going to do to increase your blood flow and decrease your inflammation? So all these other things that we look at when we actually try and get you better. So this is a very powerful tool, very specific tool to actually see if what is your temperature from your knee to your foot. So temperature differences. Do you have a brain problem? Do you have a cerebellum problem? Have you had concussions? Is your brain communicating with the rest of your body? So I find clinically too is when people are damaged, they've had some kind of brain trauma, and then they can't perceive their calves. They can't perceive their foot. And what does that do? That puts more pressure, more strain on your Achilles tendon, And also, if your Achilles tendon is already damaged or already susceptible, this is where the injury is going to be most susceptible at. Okay, so if you come to my site and just type in Achilles tendon, guess what? Achilles, 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 all this stuff comes up with Achilles. So I have a lot of stuff on Achilles tendon. Let's just get rid of tendon and see what comes up with Achilles. Okay, so this is very specific things here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blogs on Achilles tendon things specifically, just for that. So I have the AIP diet. This is a recommendation that people need to be on. This is an anti-inflammatory diet. This will cause inflammation if you're eating foods that you're inflamed to. This will cause more pain in your Achilles tendon. Very specifically. So if you're out there, get a hold of me. There's no sense. You don't need to suffer. You just need someone that can guide you through all the unknowns, all the things that you may be confused on. Okay, so let's just kind of wrap this up. I really like this program. I got basically a new program where, I know, it's just pretty awesome to see, to visualize the anatomy of the human body. And this program does a really, really great job of that. Look at that Achilles tendon right there. Look at the space right there. There's not much support. Let's go up. Let's kind of shrink this up here so you can see what you're looking at here. So this right here is, you can see right here, this is the gastrocnemius muscle there. It attaches right there, and then it goes right into the Achilles tendon right in here, and right into the bone. And you can see how your foot has a lot of just tendons right there. So I hope this made sense to you. I hope you can get better. And remember, where there's help, there's hope. Take care. This is Dr. Hugh.